Ladies and gentlemen, if I can get your attention, please. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can get your attention, please. Hi, everyone. First of all, my name is Sang Kim, and I'd like to welcome you to my restaurant called Windup Bird Cafe, which, of course, is an allusion to Haruki Murakami's great novel, The Windup Bird Chronicles. And we do a lot of events here. We do earth-to-table cuisine, everything seasonal, organic, naturally raised, sustainable, all of that. Wonderful food. The food that's been brought out to you today is by our chef, Yumiko Kobayashi, and they're all interpretations of some of the food that Joyce has written about in her novel. It's very, very difficult to make Victorian English food taste yummy. But Joyce has managed to do that in an incredibly beautiful way. I want to, before I get started, thank Robert from Churchill Cellars for his wonderful sponsorship and the welcome cocktails. Thank you, Robert and Churchill Cellars, for that. I'm a writer and chef and stuff, and so when people come up to me and ask me, would I mind testing some of their food before they open the kitchen or the restaurants, or would I mind reading their manuscript before they send it to an agent or publisher? And I say, absolutely, I mind, and I don't want to do it. But what was very interesting was that Joyce, being an old friend, was not my reason for committing to the novel. I read the first couple of pages and I said, you know what? I would love for you to do your book launch here, because The Cook's Temptation is a beautiful title, and I'm not going to spoil it for you by telling you the end, but you must read this novel because it is destined to be a bestseller. It's a very accessible read, but she has really wonderful flourishes of language and a real understanding of how to structure plot and keep you on the page, as well as beautiful turns of phrase. I was going to recite to you some of them, but I've been too busy preparing for this party. But we know how to throw a party here. And I'm so happy to see that there's so many books on in front of people. You'll really, really enjoy this. And the food descriptions are, in some passages, second to none. So the stuff that you see coming out, the stuffed, the cremini mushroom stuffed with artichoke, is a reverse on what Joyce has written. The deviled eggs has got some really interesting twists in it. The next item coming out, which is the lamb, when you read it in the novel, was almost impossible to do as an hors d'oeuvre. And so we kind of, the chef here played with that. So it's an interesting twist on how to make it passable. Of course, we have to thank our publisher who had the balls to say, I want to publish this book and bring it out to all of you. Howard's been really, really wonderful to work with. Mosaic Press has done some really great work in the publishing field here in our country. So without further ado, before Joyce gets to read on stage, Howard, if you want to come up and say a couple words. Thank you.
Thanks very, very much. Your comments about the relationship between writing and Joyce and her novel and the food is quite wonderful. Publishing is a terrible business in Canada these days, but one of the things that keeps me going in this field is just the great joy of finding wonderful, wonderful writers. And it doesn't happen that often, but the experience of working with Joyce and working with her as she developed this remarkable novel has been a great experience for myself and my colleague Mike Walsh and everybody else who was involved in it, including Matt Goody, who is here. Everybody who has been involved, including Eric, who designed the book, have come to appreciate the remarkable talent and commitment that Joyce has to this novel. And for us, her commitment has rubbed off on us. So we are totally committed to seeing this novel published in other languages. It's wonderful to see the novel in the hands of readers. Publishers are strange creatures because they really are interceptors in many ways. They intercept private ruminations, manuscripts, and somehow or magically they end up being a conduit into the hands of the reader, and they produce items which are in the eyes of the reader. Most of the time it's a disappointment, but in this case it's been a sheer delight. I should say also that when I first read Joyce's manuscript, someone said to me, this is a first-time novel. And in many ways, first-time novels, the phrase, I think, is one of the most odious phrases I've ever heard in the English language. Novels are novels, and good novels are good novels, and bad novels are bad novels. This is a very, very good novel. What makes it even more remarkable, is that it has the quality of a mature writer. When I first read it, I said to myself, this person, I didn't know Joyce very well. I knew about her, but I didn't know her. And my response to it was, I have to find out. She's written numerous other things. And to my astonishment, this mature novel is what she presented to us, and it's our joy and pleasure to present it to a public. Joyce, we're all waiting for the next one, and we want you to continue writing and producing more very, very good novels. So congratulations. It's our pleasure to have worked with you, and I hope our friendship and our relationship lasts a long, long time. And then what I'd like to suggest is that every one of you, after you've read her novel, not before, recommend the book to at least 3 other people. And those other people should then recommend the book to another 3, because that's the way good novels acquire reputation. Not fame, but reputation. And in Joyce's case, I think reputation is primary. Fame will come its own way. Joyce, thank you very, very much.
Well, hello, everyone. I am so happy to see you here. There are so many faces that I've known for a very long time. All my dear friends in the room. What could possibly be better? I would like to say that working with Mosaic was a joy from the beginning to end. I think Howard and I just struck a great friendship over this book, and the editing of the book with Mike Walsh, his colleague, and my colleague, it's just been a successful and joyous run. Having worked in publishing for a long time myself, I know how it can get. And that didn't happen this time. It was just a wonderful experience, and I think it made for a better book in the end. Let me tell you just a little bit about The Cook's Temptation and how it came about. And it's in the afterword to the book too, is that I was traveling in Devon in England, in the north of Devon, and I was in a graveyard near a church in a small town called Halsworthy, and I read this inscription on a tombstone, and it said, "To the memory of Cordelia, the beloved wife of Frederick H. Martin of this town, who departed this life on the 23rd day of October, 1885, aged 33 years. Watch, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come." And there was something so desperately ominous about it in that particular place that I decided that I was going to go home and write a novel about it. And 5 years later, here it is. So I'm going to read right from the beginning of the book, because I always think that's better than trying to catch you up. And I'll start with book 1, which is set at the Devil's Stone Inn in County Devon in 1881. And the Devil's Stone Inn, by the way, is a real inn, does exist, is still there. It's one of the oldest inns in England, and it's known, has a reputation of being haunted. The first time I set eyes on Frederick Wendus, he was hovering in the corner of the dining room of the Devil's Stone Inn, trying to stay out of Mamma's way. It was 4 years ago in 1877, and he isn't likely to remember me since I was still a girl then, with slim hips and a flat chest. As usual, I was well concealed by Mama's long protective shadow. Today, Wendus graces the door of the Devil's Stone Inn on the anniversary of the turning of the ancient Devil's Stone, the huge slab of rock perched in the center of the village of Shebbear. It's April 5th, and the yearly ritual of turning the stone by the vicar of St. Michael's means that the square across from our inn is overflowing with revelers from the county Devon and far beyond. No one could actually calculate how the mysterious boulder weighing more than 1 ton dropped into the middle of Shebbear, but our visitors steadfastly hold to the belief that the stone dropped from Satan's pocket as he descended from heaven to hell. Although she doesn't say as much, I understand that Mama believes we are living in her very own version of hell, and why shouldn't she? On this day, the odd, the inordinately curious, the superstitious, and the pious congregate in the village square. Mama always claims that the strangest people in all of Christendom assemble in the northern heart of County Devon on the anniversary of the falling of the stone from heaven to earth. And I must agree with her. As I count the unseemly numbers of those hobbling on crutches, those brandishing white canes, those maimed or disfigured from disease, pestilence, or gross misfortune, I can only imagine what hidden infirmities are obscured beneath their bodily ailments. Many of those who are drawn to the village square of Shebbear for this bizarre event, more pagan than Christian in appearance, brandish a look of shame, and I can only imagine the perversions of the mind that compel these revelers to travel from near and far to Shebbear. Everyone in the square surely carries the burden of their own secret, the curse of the body or the soul that confounds and wreaks havoc with their daily existence. Each one of them is ashamed to be amongst us. I can see it in their faces, but they cannot resist. They cannot stop themselves from witnessing the turning of the Devil's Stone. As for Frederick Wendus, I'm not certain if he joins us on this occasion by accident or by design. On the surface, a blancmange, but beneath, his hands are continuously moving, the thumb and the forefingers squeezed together nervously as he waits to be admitted to the inn. As he inhales a long breath, his eyes roll upward. I suspect a turbulent nature restrained by his station. He is, after all, the wealthiest man in the West Country. Yet I'd wager he is not entirely unlike the others assembled in the square, or the privileged few anticipating the celebratory dinner at Mama's legendary table after the turning is done. Beneath the comportment of a gentleman, there is something amiss with Mr. Wendus's heart. What he actually thinks of our establishment, I have no idea. If he looks down his nose at us, the Tilleys of Shebbear, I cannot smell it on him, at least not yet. The Devil's Stone, with its ancient stone floor and 3 open fireplaces, is not the fanciest inn in the County Devon, but I would wager my last penny that the food we serve is the finest in all of England. It's French, just like Mama, and she spares not a shilling when fixing her nightly concoctions that never fail to impress our good West Country customers. It's all hogwash, Mama says tonight in her best English to Mr. Wendus when he speculates why the stone across from the inn is turned by the good Reverend each year on this exact date. Tonight, Mama's eyes shine, and I can imagine how enchanting she once was. My pa never notices his wife's beauty and how it has faded, nor does he notice what is left of it. The elegant turn of her swan-like neck and the fine way she holds her head high when she addresses Mr. Wendus. As usual, Mama pays Pa no mind. Not even you, Madeline Tilley, can calculate how this mysterious boulder dropped into the middle of Shebbear on this very date. Pa roars from behind the bar and across the room to where Mr. Wendus is certain to hear it. I loathe it when he interrupts Mama. I can tell by the sharp glint in her eye as she speaks with him that she is angry. 4 of my brothers, louts that they are, continue with their drinking. Albert, with his expression of pure mischief, pinches a waiting maid's bottom as she clears crockery from the long table for the next course of tonight's feast. Rubbish, Mama says firmly. Of course some say the stone fell from Satan's pocket on April the 5th as he descended from heaven to hell. But educated people such as we don't believe in such foolishness. Do we, Mr. Wendus? I might, Frederick admits sheepishly. I might, without looking up from his plate piled high with Mama's culinary creations. Thank you.